What's up, everybody? We're Dingers with the boys. I'm Tim. I'm here with Kyle. We're having a rough night. Yep. Sunday night. We just watched Game 7 of the Nuggets and Timberwolves series. The Nuggets were up by 20 points in the third, with about 10 minutes, 58 seconds left. End up losing. I don't even know how much. Did we lose by 9?
We lost by 8. Final score 98-90. Overall, upsetting loss. It's always tough when you're up big for a team to come back and end up winning. It did kind of seem like Denver maybe came out a little comfortable in the third, kind of let their foot off the pedal, and Minnesota in a Game 7 wasn't going to do that. So,
well, it's weird because even they went on a big run in the third.
Yeah, 24-5 run or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It was 28-14 in the quarter. So they outscored us by 14 in that quarter.
Yeah.
And even we were only up by 2 at the end of the 2, or was it 1?
We were up by 1 at the end of the
third. But even a couple minutes before that, I was like, man, we're playing terrible, but I'm still we still got this. I mean,
we still had the lead, and but you could easily just go on
it's
a run
funny
by
because
yourself. But
I wasn't nervous until 2 minutes left in the third, really. About 2 minutes left. And then I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. And the fourth, the amount of offensive rebounds we let them get. And it was like, oh, we got to stop. Oh, they got an offensive rebound and put back dunk. And it was just like.
I wonder, because Jokic played all but 1 minute.
I think, 1 minute and 15 seconds or something.
Longest game he's played, I think.
A long time.
Ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's, close. It's just.
Yeah. And so that definitely seemed like, hey, it's a Game 7, do or die. Jokic, we need you for all 48 minutes possibly.
Well, and what happened with Jamal? He had 24 in the first. He was playing great. Of our first 41 points, he had 20 points.
Yep.
It was like, man, he is cooking. He's playing great. Comes out, he's nowhere to be seen. What is going on? Jokic went 0 for 7 from 3 until then he finally made his first one. Yep. But it was just AG kind of seemed off a little bit. He got blocked a couple of times. Yep. MPJ came out and he had 2 blocks in the first 2 or 3 minutes. And he had
7 rebounds.
Exactly, yeah. And then he was kind of
it just seemed that first half they were coming out banging. They were coming out super tough, super fast. They wanted to get it going. And I've said this to my dad a couple times. Me and him talked back and forth. It seems like the Denver Nuggets were scared to lose. They went up by 20, and then they were scared to lose. What are you doing?
Sorry, guys. Got the AC on and I'm freezing. It's hitting me right on perfect, and so I have to shut this. I'm sorry. Whoever saw that, sorry.
Yeah.
I was freezing, man.
Man, I feel good.
Oh, man.
But so I've talked to my dad about that a couple times. Me and him kept on. We always bring that up when teams lose. You can't be afraid to give up the lead or whatever. And that.
Well, like you said, they came out comfortable too.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh man, I don't know," and I don't know, man. I just don't even.
Especially those next few, in the third, almost every single offensive transition or offensive possession, down the court. Even though we had the lead, it almost seemed like we need a bucket. We need a bucket right here.
Desperate.
And then they were forcing threes. They took way too many threes than I would have liked.
I don't even think that's the problem. We just missed some of the open ones inside too, and we were doing dumb turnovers, and it was just oh my gosh, I almost lost it when we were watching. I started cleaning, and when I get mad, I start cleaning, and so
I guess
gosh, it was just I don't know. I don't want to really talk about this game, honestly, too much, just because I have nothing good to say. I'm proud of them this season.
Yeah.
And, we made it to the second round, which we played terrible in the first round. We made it to the second round. I still am just so frustrated of this series. You lose 3 at home after having one of the best home records in this league.
Yeah,
is absolutely ridiculous. Getting blown out on one of them, and then losing by 8 on both the others. And the worst is on Game 1 and Game 7 is you're like right around a tie game, and then you lose by 8. Like you're around a tie game with a few minutes to get left, and then you lose by 8, or like it's like within a couple points, and it's like at home court, like at home. That's ridiculous. But I don't want to talk about this game, honestly. I'm just
want to bring up like just a few more things. Sorry, but I feel like it needs to be addressed. I just want to bring up the first thing is announcers were saying it all over and over. In the last 5 years, no champion has made it past the second round. That streak continues.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is kind of crazy. But in the same way, I'm kind of glad because you get to see a different champion every single year.
You're glad that we lost?
I'm not glad that we lost.
You just said it.
I'm not glad that we lost at all, but I'm just saying, like, I like the idea of
it shows how much diversity is in the league right now.
Yeah.
I like that.
It shows you where, like, how...
I don't like it when the Nuggets were the champions.
Of course, I would have loved to be the thing that stopped.
The nice thing that I think we got, I think we're going to keep 4 of our 5 starters.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only one, I think KCP's gone.
I think he'll probably get a lot of money.
That's right. I don't think he'll be here. And so I think that'll be the only, but our top 4 players are still going to be
I know, like, we're going to be a contender as long as Jamal is here, as long as Jokic is here.
Exactly.
Christian Brown is developing really well.
Well, Peyton Watson didn't play at all this series, which is really surprising.
He kind of took a slump, I feel like. Even, like, in the last few games of the regular season, seemed like he started struggling a lot more. Mm-hmm. Which he played a few minutes, like,
here and there.
Like, I'm pretty sure he played a few minutes in the Lakers series.
Yeah, he played a little bit in the Lakers.
And then there might have been a few minutes in not garbage time in Minnesota. But
maybe one of those
in
first
the minutes
couple
that
games
he was in, he was sloppy. Even in the reserve minutes.
He
was playing wild. He was playing...
Because I thought he would be a huge playoff person, you know. I think Reggie's gone too. I don't think Reggie's going to be back.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think he's one of the ones that actually has played a little bit that he's going to be gone.
And then, so the second thing I want to bring up, I think a lot of Denver fans are going to bring up the referees. I've seen a lot of people saying that the referees were terrible this series. I don't think it was bad at all. I think it was actually fairly called.
I think this comes back to where we talked about a few weeks ago. Like, I think they were consistent for those games. I don't think it was like, you can say there was bad calls on the Nuggets, there was bad calls on Minnesota. But overall, they called the game pretty consistently. Like, you knew what was going to get called pretty much, you know. I think that's where game 2, it was like we were wanting them to call stuff that they weren't going to call, and they didn't call it on either side. Yeah. You know, they were letting a lot of stuff go.
A little bit with that with game 6, but it was more just game 6 we couldn't buy.
And I'm sure Minnesota fans are saying the same thing, though.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, there was fans on both sides that were saying, "Oh man, the refs were they clearly wanted Denver to win," or
I think
they
it was
clearly wanted Minnesota to win."
Overall.
But I don't think it was lopsided anyway. There's no
definitely
NBA
not why we lost tonight. I agree. I'm still just, I don't know. This pod is probably going to be so negative because it's like I'm so frustrated.
It is frustrating.
Oh my
But the thing I just keep on like bringing myself back to is it was still a good season.
It was.
They had a good run.
Well, and it's funny because I was telling Megan, I'm like, man, how many times do we see them lose in the first round?
Yeah.
And not even game 7, game 4, game 5, game 6. And it's just like, I think it's so frustrating because we know that we really had a shot.
Yeah.
And especially being up by 20 tonight.
Yeah.
That made it worse.
Yeah, it gave you like a sense of security.
You're like, all right, you know,
hey, we got this.
And we were playing so good.
We were.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, man.
And then, finally, the third thing that I'm just going to say.
Do you want me to cry on the pod?
No.
Who's going to be the first one to cry? I'm going to start pinching Kyle's leg again. Hopefully he'll cry.
The final third thing
Maybe
I'm going to say.
Maybe if I keep bringing stuff up, you'll forget about it.
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I don't forget things.
Only directions.
Yeah.
What are you?
All right,
What's the third thing?
Third thing I'm going to bring up is a lot of people are going to bring up that game against the Spurs that we lost in the regular season, costing us the number 1 seed, saying we lost our fate at the number 1. We could have been facing Dallas instead.
But we would probably be playing Minnesota in the Western Conference.
So that's why I want to bring it up. Is like I think Jokic said it best in the late regular season, where hey, if you're going to win the championship, it doesn't matter what seed you are, doesn't matter who you play, you got to go through them.
And even then, it's like the way we played on the Lakers series. I don't know if we would have beat the Pelicans.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they didn't have Zion, so that helped. But
yeah, I don't
know if we would have beat Dallas.
I think we would have beat the Pelicans. I don't know. It seemed like we picked things up, but I don't know. You could sit here all night of what it could have shows. And Jokic, what he's meaning in that quote is, hey, you can talk all you want, you can plan all you want, but come the end of the day, you got to win. You got to play. Like, you got to take who you get, and you got to beat them. Yeah. And simply, Minnesota was just too much for Denver, and you got to just kind of tip your cap, and, I mean, they deserved it.
You know what cracked me up today? Like, listening to the announcers, and this has been all series, and, like, Cat tonight had 5 fouls, so he was in foul trouble, and they brought in Naz Reid, and the announcer's like, "Oh, this could be trouble. Now Rudy Gobert has to guard Jokic." He's the supposed defensive player of the year 4 times.
Yeah,
but you're saying he can't guard the best player on the court? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, I know Jokic tears him up, but dude, you're not the defensive player of the year. Yeah. Like, you're ducking guys, like, oh my gosh, exactly. It's like that just made it.
That's like a whole controversy in itself.
I don't think
I think Wemby should have won it.
Oh, for sure.
Probably just because he's a rookie, he didn't. But
yeah,
everybody says it's the record.
And that's the thing.
Rudy,
Minnesota has the better team.
Yeah,
they have the better team, offensive and defensively.
Yeah,
especially defensively, you're gonna look better. Because your team as a whole is a lot better defensively.
Yep, exactly.
And so it's like, it's a little skewed, but I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that either. Who do you think, with the teams left, who do you think has the best chance?
I think Minnesota. Minnesota and Boston. That's going to be your final.
That's what I think, too. I would love to see Dallas.
I just
because I like Luka. I hate Kyrie, though. That's where I'm kind of split. Because I love Luka. I like watching him play.
Yeah.
I can't stand Kyrie.
Well, I think here's what's going to happen come the Dallas-Minnesota series is Anthony Edwards is probably going to be on Kyrie. He's got the size. He's got the youth. He's got the speed. He can lock down Kyrie probably easily. And then the second matchup that I think is going to be heavily in favor for Minnesota is Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, and Cat all in the inside. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford.
He had a great series.
They had a great
guard
series
Luka?
Against OKC.
Who do you think is going to guard Luka?
Probably Jaden McDaniels.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even thinking. I'm like trying to think of who, but yeah, okay.
I just think Minnesota has a ton of answers for Dallas, and I don't know if Dallas.
Well, they're definitely bigger on the better on the inside.
Minnesota.
They should get Porzingis, I believe, back. I think they were saying after the first couple games. They might even get him back earlier.
That's the Boston series.
Yeah, I know. But, like, I'm saying, like, for Boston and Minnesota possibly.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be a good finals.
I think so, too.
I think that would be a very defensive finals. I think that honestly could go as the lowest scoring finals ever.
It could.
To be honest. Like, just average. But
and then I think that Porzingis and Karl Anthony Towns matchup is going to be something to watch.
Yep. And who knows? Maybe the Pacers come out and win, and maybe Dallas comes back and win. That'd be insane.
I do hope if the Pacers do win and like Minnesota wins, then people say exactly the same thing to Minnesota that people were saying to Denver is they got an easy way.
Oh, I'm sure they won't, though. I'm sure they're like, oh, my gosh, this was such a good,
Probably not, because everybody hates Denver, but...
Yeah, I don't know. It's Since we did it, we missed last week. Some stuff came up.
Yep.
Sorry, guys, we missed last week, but the Avalanche lost as well.
Yeah, it's just been a
double overtime.
Rough weekend.
6. That was frustrating, man.
It is. So I want to share this story real quick, just because I think it's kind of funny. But we were watching the game together, and then it was about to go into the first overtime. I was like, all right, I'm going to try to run home.
Which is funny, because you live about 30 minutes at minimum away. and it's 18 minutes between.
Yeah, I knew.
And you're like, I'll make it. You know,
I knew I wasn't gonna make it. I'm not gonna speed. I'm not gonna speed demon. I was going the speed limit the whole way, but I had it up on like the radio.
Yeah.
So I'm listening, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, as I get closer and closer, and the game is still going on, I was like, I bet you I'm probably gonna walk into my house, and somebody's gonna score. Like, I just have a feeling, a gut feeling, and I turn on, like, I pull in my driveway, shut off the car, walk in, goal. All I hear is they scored. And I look, and Dallas scored, but it was the no goal.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I was right, but
technically
it didn't count. But
which it was a good thing.
Yeah,
but then
it was a good
we ended
thing,
up losing in double OT. I fell asleep between the first overtime and the second overtime intermission. And, you know, like, I always fall asleep. I'm surprised they stayed up that long.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, like, I'll wake up and everything. And I even was staying up a little bit, and then, like, they were talking and it went to commercial, and I was like, oh, I'm out. And then Megan wakes me up. She's like, hey, game's over. And she was sleeping in the third. She was sleeping when you were still here. And I was like, oh, nice. Did we win? No. And I just like, oh,
I mean, you didn't really miss anything. Dallas controlled that second overtime, especially after that. They controlled
the first, too, really, honestly.
They really did.
I don't know.
It was kind of lucky that we didn't lose.
I could see the Avs changing some stuff up more than the Nuggets.
I think so, too.
It's tough because we played good with Winnipeg series, and then the way game one looked, like, yeah, we were down, but we won, and it's like, all right, you know, we're going to, and we never really got it back. So
it's
after
interesting.
After the news about in the first period, we shoot 2 shots on goal that game. And then I think at the end of the second, we were at a total of 8. So it's like 6. And then in the third, all of a sudden, it's 32-27 shots on goal. It's like, where did we come from? You know, but it was just a little too late.
Yeah, and that was kind of the story of the whole series. But I guarantee, I think the Avs will make a big splash this offseason because Landeskog is still not 100%.
Dude,
who knows if he's ever going to come back.
It kind of frustrates me that they haven't given his captaincy away. I get where it's like, oh, no, like, we don't want to. Like, he deserved it. But now it's been
2 years.
Almost 2 full years, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure he's still around, but you need, like, a captain on that ice. And, McKinnon is that captain, but, dude, put that C on his jersey. If Landeskog comes back, you can, like, have an agreement or something like that. But put that C on his jersey, you know? Because it's like, how long are you going to go? All right, if he's out another year?
I agree.
Do you think Landeskog's numbers are going to be retired here?
I think so.
Well, I'm kind of hit or miss. I don't know.
It's interesting because Colorado is a very hockey town. We've got Joe Sakic up there, Hayduk up there,
Foot, Wall
up there, Foot.
I feel like there's
Rob Blake,
no,
Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque, we do.
It was like we have a lot of names up there, and I don't know if there's a
Forsberg.
cap.
I was like, we were missing one other.
Yeah.
Like, who else were we missing?
I don't know if there's a cap.
I don't think so.
Is it just depending on how much space you have up there? But
I mean, I don't think so. It's funny because I mean, they put Hayduk up there, and I loved Hayduk.
Yeah.
Should he have gotten up there? Like, I think
Landeskog definitely deserved it.
Well, that's what. Do you think Landeskog doesn't deserve it more than him?
I think it helps that they won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I think if Landeskog didn't win a Stanley Cup with them, then it's more like in the conversation of maybe not. But I think because they did win a Stanley Cup, I think that kind of etched it in there. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, like, how many can you have? Because it's like, all right, McKinnon's probably going to. Yeah. McCarr's probably going to. You know, it's like maybe Rantanen, maybe. I don't know.
But it depends on, of course, like.
Yeah, they still have a lot more
do those guys
play.
Retire?
Are we going to talk about this? We talked about it earlier.
We can. We're kind of flowing into it.
So. Sure. Let's. We're going to save this for later. We brought this up earlier that if a player, like the 1-day contracts to retire as a certain like team. So like say McKinnon leaves and play somewhere else for like 2 or 3 years. But he wants to retire an Avalanche, signing that 1-day contract to retire an Av.
Yeah. So Tim thinks it's the stupidest thing ever.
I do. I absolutely do. And really quick, before we go into this, I said, before we started talking about this, I said, Kyle, more people are going to agree with you. I just know that. And they're all dumb. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I think it's a form of respect. It's just something you do. It's like an unwritten rule almost.
I just don't get, like, why? Who cares? Like, you looked, because how it got brought up is, I wonder how much they get paid for it, you know? And you said on average it's around like $3,000 to $4,000.
This was looking at MLB because we were talking about.
Was it right now though?
I
bet you it's similar.
Yeah.
You know, so you're telling me they're getting $3,000 to $4,000 to retire as as a certain team.
Basically,
what does it do? What does it do? Like we were talking, like we said, Emmanuel Sanders. Okay, that was one that he retired as a Bronco. Why?
Because he likes Denver.
But who cares?
Denver fans.
Are you going to remember in 10 years that he retired a Bronco?
I told you, I don't forget.
The answer is yes, you are going to forget.
I don't think so. Even if I do forget.
Okay, did Carlos Gonzalez do it?
I'm pretty sure.
We don't know. We said maybe. Exactly.
I'm pretty sure
you don't know.
If you do look it up, you'll probably see that he retired a Rocky.
All right, how about this? Did Michael Jordan retire a Bull? Or did he... Well, yes, he retired twice as a Bull, and then once as a Wizard. But did he sign a day contract at the end of his career?
I don't know.
See, we have no idea. And that's one of the greatest top 2 basketball player of all time. Who cares? You remember him as a Chicago Bull.
I think
who cares if he retires?
Who cares what you remember, though?
That's what I'm saying.
Puts it into writing.
Why, though?
I'm retiring.
Why? Is there like a book that it's like, hey, this is what this player retired as?
I don't know. I'm not in the MLB or...
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who cares?
I don't know.
There's no reason for it. And I want to get other people's opinions on this because, like I said, I think I'm going to be in the minority on this. I think a lot of people are going to agree with you. They're like, no, like we want them to retire a Bronco. Who cares? That's how we remember him either way.
I think it's
like Tulo. I remember him as a Rocky. Did he retire a Rocky? I don't know. I don't know. In my head, no, he didn't because he didn't finish playing for like the Rockies.
Yeah.
And what does that do? Oh, okay.
I wonder.
You're on our team for an hour, so you could sign a paper.
I don't know.
Did you take one more at bat for us? Or did you shoot one more shot? You know?
No.
Did you even walk into the training room or anything?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
It's good questions. I wish I could be there on the day where one of these players does sign. Like, I know when Emmanuel Sanders did it, I don't think he did a single thing for, like, the Broncos, like, on that day. I think he basically just came for a photo op.
That's what his family. Is it more the team, do you think, that does it? Or do you think it's more the player?
I think probably in some cases both. Because I bet you there's probably some players that go to the team and say, hey, I want to retire with you guys. And the team says, no, like, get away.
Maybe. I don't know.
And vice versa. I bet you there's some teams that's like, hey, we want to sign you to a 10-day so you can retire here.
Well, it's always 1 day.
And the player is like,
I don't think they ever do
like
10 day.
10-day, 1 day.
It's really like 1
whatever.
minute. It's like a minute contract.
Yeah. But it's like,
I'm
sure it's the same way. It's the player says, no, I don't want to do that. But
I just don't.
And it probably just depends on the player. The player in their trophy rack or whatever, maybe will have something of, hey,
says, hey, I retired as
maybe
this.
I don't know. You don't know. You don't know what people have in their house.
It's the dumbest thing. I
mean, it's a little silly, but
because when you see it, all right, when you see it like on Twitter or Yahoo, whatever, Google, when you see it like a guy that didn't play for us the last couple of years, but then he retires, what do? Are you like, oh, that's cool, and then you forget about it?
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
It's, oh, cool, he retired a Bronco. Oh, he retired a Nugget.
Yeah, I mean,
it got brought up. Now I remember how it got brought up because it was Marcus Camby. He was at the Knicks, And they're like, oh, all these legends, this is what they're known for. They're known for the Knicks. I'm like, nobody remembers that Canby played for the Knicks and stuff. And I was like, do you even remember? And you're like, well, yeah. But I'm like, yeah, but does really anybody? And then my mom calls and I ask her, she's like, yeah, before the Nuggets and stuff. I'm like,
I'm pretty sure like that's where he won the Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he did.
I think
he won. Did he win here though? I feel like he won here.
I thought
once.
he was only a one-time winner, but I don't know.
I can't remember. He got traded here. I'm pretty sure with Nene in 02 for Antonio McDyess. I think there was one other person and maybe a draft pick.
Yeah.
We've actually made quite a bit of trades with the Knicks over the years, and they've usually
panned out for us.
So maybe we should trade something with the Knicks.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe we'll get Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, bring in Brunson.
That'd be
Josh
sweet.
Hart, maybe.
But
I think like with the retiring, it always seems to be the lower end players too that aren't making the Hall of Fame. Because it's like the players like, I don't know, Carlos Gonzalez or all this stuff. And like, I don't think they'll make the Hall of Fame, but Emmanuel Sanders, I don't think will. But yeah, it just seems
I feel like it's like not like the lower though. They're kind of like mid-level. And I feel like there's higher guys that do it too.
They're not nobodies, but
I feel like higher guys do it too though.
Yeah, it's like the higher guys that
I hope people write in on this because I want to know what other people think. And like I said, I think I'm in the minority, but it just doesn't make sense. I feel like it's just a publicity stunt.
Yeah,
I'm still frustrated about the Nuggets, man. I'm just like, I'm barely getting
exactly
on.
That's what it is,
and it's just dumb. I think it's stupid.
It is a publicity thing. It's just to get their name back out there,
which is stupid.
And
it's dumb.
Clicks or likes or.
Me and Kyle have had this argument all day, and
I think I'm still right.
Like, well, after hearing what you've said, I'm going to listen again tomorrow, and I'm going to probably take my side. And I don't know, man. It's just, yeah. In other news, so this is kind of a downer, I guess, too. Harrison Butker came out, and he was at a graduation. I don't even remember what school it was. You have any idea what school it was?
No. You were the one that told me. So. And
I forgot to look like more into it. Some people have asked, said, hey, we should talk about this on our pod. From what I gathered, he pretty much said that, it's exciting, and for you women, you can now pretty much start the most exciting part of your life being a mother and wife.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I wish I would have looked more into this, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it right now or later. But
yeah, maybe we'll touch on it next week or something too.
From what I got out of it and what people have talked to me about it, and I've seen very little clips, so I haven't seen the whole thing. But what I've seen, I think he's being absolutely ridiculous. He's pretty much saying that the women should stay home and their ultimate goal is to be a mom and wife. And yeah, some women that might be. And he's saying that they should be stay-at-home moms, mothers and wives, pretty much. And especially in society now, hey, maybe 100 years ago, that's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with it that it didn't have to be then. We talked about this, and when I first brought it up, you're like, hey, that's my ultimate goal. I'd love to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, I would too.
With what he said, that's completely ridiculous. You need to be the breadwinner. You need to provide for your family.
Yeah.
And you can, but the wife and mother can as well. And so I think he's a piece of what kind of thing. I think he is absolutely ridiculous. And I've seen stuff people have put on Facebook, friends and stuff. And we usually don't get into stuff like this. I don't post anything, stuff like this. But I've had a couple people text me saying we should talk about this a little bit and just what we thought. And I think it's ridiculous. I think he's in the past, and I think us as a society have we have gained. And don't get me wrong, some people might want to do that. Some women might want to do that, but
that's
that
their
shouldn't
choice.
Exactly. That's not every single one's ultimate goal, and that's not necessarily how it should be. Hey, yeah, do you want to do that? Hey, can you guys do that? With your husband and wife, can you do that? But to say that that's been their ultimate goal since they were little kids, and it's only the women. It's not the men. It's only the women. So what do you think? I'll let you.
I think it's like, who are you to say? If I was like talking to Butker, it's like, who are you to say this? It's like, just because you're an NFL kicker, like.
Exactly.
It's like,
and it's like, yeah, dude, you make millions of dollars. Of course your wife can stay at home.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to work, but like, not like me. And maybe your wife does want to do that. And that might be like her, like.
And that even looks bad on, that basically is a slap in the face to his wife, too. He's like, hey, you basically only married me to be able to stay at home and be a white, like, stay at home mom. It's like, that's the only reason why. And you're with me, or
I don't
whatever.
really like.
So,
I don't want to get too much into it because we can go we can start saying so much about this, and like you were saying, like, hey, that's their choice, and there's so much stuff right now.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why people have to like get into this. What other people think and do. It's like, dude, that's not your life. Does that affect you at all?
Just stay in your lane.
It's the same thing with relationships. Jobs, whatever, it's like, I mean, we can go as far as like other, like, I don't want to get into like all it, like, you know what I'm talking about, I don't really want to get into this, but it's like, dude, that's their decision. You have no idea what's going on in their life or what they like to do and everything. And so, I have a hard time doing it, especially like now having a daughter, like, growing up, and dude, it scares me. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, and just like the choices she makes and what she wants to do with her life, or like be with or whatever, and it's like, dude, that's her choice, and it's like, hey, even if you don't like it, why does she have to do what you say? Or why does that have to be her goal? Like in his case, why does that have to be her goal if that's the way you think?
Yeah.
And so
it is just really sad, and because there's hundreds of thousands of people that probably share his opinion.
Oh, for sure.
But because he's in the light that he's in, it's that much more, makes it even more sad that somebody that high up is thinking like that and spreading that.
And even if you think about that, just keep it to yourself, man. Like, don't, because he knew this is going viral, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, it's so frustrating.
I do think,
and it's tough because then he starts bringing faith into it, and like, I know you're very Catholic, and he brought Catholicism into it, and I know you don't think that way, and so he's almost trying to put it where it's like all Catholics think that way, and so it's frustrating. But I don't like that's. Like I said, I wanted to bring it up because other people have like said it, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get into some stuff other than sports sometime, but maybe I don't want to get too much into it.
To finish it off, I think like Chiefs are doing good by it. I think they
condemned him. Yeah, they said no, they didn't cut him.
I thought they were going to cut him.
Did they? That would be insane.
That's what I thought.
I thought they just said, hey, we do not condemn this. This is not how we think, and stuff like that.
I mean, even if that is just the case and that's all they did, then that's still good.
I saw this one thing that they were saying that like Taylor Swift should come, because it's like, hey, Taylor Swift can kick a ball, but he can't sell out these massive concerts singing and stuff. It's like, and she's one of the biggest like people in the world. It's kind of funny. And I wonder what Travis Kelce's going to say to him.
I don't know.
They probably will try to like keep out of it and stuff, just because, hey, we're a sports team, whatever.
And you also, just like stuff like this, you kind of just want to forget. And just, oh yeah, whatever. Like,
exactly.
Kind of thing, just throw it away. But,
But let's get back into sports, because like I said, I just wanted to bring it up because a couple people asked us to, and so I wanted to kind of like mention it. And like I said, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about some stuff, like if we have some people on or whatever. The Rockies, though, let's talk about them a little bit. They were on a 7-game win streak.
Yeah.
They were hot. Now I think they've lost 3 in a row.
Yep.
The Rockies, man, I want to root. I mean, I root for them. I just want them to be good so bad. And it's so hard now. Like, now with the Nuggets and Avalanche, it's like, now we have the Rockies.
These are the dark days of Colorado sports.
Oh, dude.
Denver Broncos coming around the corner. Colorado Rockies. And
it's like even the Broncos, it's like I can't even get that excited about. It's like I just want it to be next like end of October. It's just like but I love the summer too. And so I don't know, it's
frustrating for the Rockies. Right now they're still, even though they won 7 straight, and the people that they were beating on that run,
they were good teams, right?
They beat the defending champs, Texas Rangers. They swept them. And then forget the other team.
Pittsburgh? Did we beat Pittsburgh? Dude, that pitcher, what's his name?
Skeens.
Oh my gosh! On Friday, I was watching. He was pitching. His first 7 batters struck out.
Yep.
And he finished with 11 strikeouts, 6 innings, no hits. And I was watching it, and he definitely should have struck out a couple of those others. Like the ump was like, I was like, man, that was the exact same pitch he literally just called a strike on. But I was talking to one of our cousins about it, and he's like, man, that would be so hard as an umpire going from the other guy pitching like 75, 80 changeups and different stuff, like breaking balls, to his breaking balls like a 95, like his slider, his what do they call, splitter or whatever. And it's like, oh my gosh, that'd be so hard.
And even his fastball can get into the triple
100.
digits.
Yep. Yeah. So his 100th pitch, which was his 11th strikeout, was 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And
it's like that.
Man,
you don't realize how fast that's coming. So I don't really blame the ump for, and like even like the difference between it is from the other team's pitcher to Skeens pitching. It's Skeens can like vary his pitches himself. Like he can go from 75 with a curveball to throwing 100 straight gas.
Yeah, to like a 95 splitter that's moving like a slider curveball. It's like, man,
so
he's going to be fun to watch, And it's funny because like I'll watch baseball, but it's like, man, I was kind of into it, And I'm going to the Rockies on Friday. You might also join.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It'll be the first game of the year. I'm excited. Hopefully they win. I just, it's exciting. Like when they were on that 7-game win streak, it's just exciting, like to be excited about something. And that's pretty much what we got right now. And so we'll see how the summer goes. Hopefully this pod is positive the rest of the year until we get Broncos. I mean, even, once we get the basketball and hockey and stuff. But, I mean, there's free agency, and I'm sure,
and we still
it hurts right now, and this is literally less than an hour after we're recording this. Like we literally, it finished. Mm-hmm. I went and gave Nat a bath, and you set up, and we literally came down.
And this is why I was asking you, like, do we want to do it before or after the game? But both of us knew, like, we gotta wait till the end because we want to talk about this game, whether win or lose.
And in the first half, I'm like, oh man, we're gonna be talking about this. It's gonna be so excited. And then you asked me, you're like, you still want to do it? Like, yeah, I guess. Especially after missing last week and stuff. And so, but it is what it is. Let's go into our game picks. We can't even remember who we picked for sure. They were game ones. I went 1 and 2. Kyle went 2 and 1.
So the games we picked were all the game ones in the NBA second rounds. We picked the Knicks and
Didn't
Pacers.
Didn't we pick a hockey?
Yeah. I'll get to that.
Okay.
So we picked the Knicks, Pacers. Both of us picked the Knicks. Knicks won. And then we picked Dallas and OKC. Tim, you picked Dallas. I picked OKC. OKC won. And then for NHL, we picked Boston and Florida. And we both picked Florida.
And I was going to pick Boston. That's right. Oh, dang it.
And then Boston won 5-1. But
so I went 1 and 2. You went 2 and 1. That was my first week in the last 5-6 weeks that
you're
haven't
still
done.
On a heater.
Yeah.
But
I'm up 1 on you now. This week, we're going to pick 2 round 1 basketball. And are we doing the game 7? We said, right? Game 7 of hockey, which is tomorrow night?
So let's start with that one first.
Okay,
so
that's tomorrow night, right?
That's tomorrow night, Monday night. And it'll be
Vancouver versus Edmonton.
Yep, in Vancouver.
Yep. I'll go first. I think Edmonton's gonna win. I'm gonna pick Edmonton. I think McDavid. I think he's gonna have a great game, maybe a goal or 2 in this game. And I think Vancouver's kind of like on their like a little bit on the run, you know. They won this last game, and they are a good team. But I think I don't know. I just got a feeling Edmonton's gonna win in Vancouver.
It's gonna be. I was kind of going back and forth at this too because, for one, Vancouver was the one that forced the Game 7, and then
kind of like how Minnesota.
It's in Vancouver,
just gonna keep bringing it up.
Maybe that will help them, but I think I'm gonna go Edmonton as well. Actually, I think McDavid.
That's a tough one too.
Draisaitl, I think, is his name.
Well, it's so tough because I'll watch hockey. I'll watch the Avs.
Yeah.
I'll watch sometimes other games, but if the Avs aren't playing, I don't watch as much. Basketball, I will watch more, even if the Nuggets don't play.
And you definitely know a lot more about basketball than it is hockey. But, man, a Game 7, you can
go anywhere, you know? So. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think so. We're both going Edmonton.
Okay.
Next one. NBA. So we'll just start with the Dallas, Minnesota. I think first game's on Wednesday. But
go ahead.
All right, I'll start. I'm going.
Yeah, I just keep going back to the dang game.
I'm going Minnesota. I think they're going to be flying high off this win. For one, they've got definitely the advantage on both ends of the court. I think they're going to be too much for Dallas, so I'm going Minnesota.
I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going to go Minnesota too.
Yeah,
pretty much the same kind of thing. I think Ant's a little too much for Kyrie too, because he'll probably try to guard him. I think Luka's going to have a pretty good, but he's going to have a lot of defenders on him.
Yeah.
And the bigs. I think the bigs Minnesota has, especially Carl. Cat and Rudy, and then you got Naz Reid when one of them comes out.
Yeah.
And it's honestly almost unstoppable.
I think, honestly, I could see Minnesota sweeping them.
I think they'll get one. I think Dallas will get one. I think Minnesota's going to win in 5. And I don't want it to. I don't. I really don't. But I want Dallas to win. I'm going to say I want Dallas to win because... And it could be just because we just
put the bad juju out there.
Yeah, I'm going to go Minnesota. Sorry, guys, if I'm down tonight. I'm just, you know how it is.
We'll be happier at some point.
Yeah, especially just talking about Minnesota. It's just, I'll get over it. It's just going to take a day or two. And, it's still sinking in.
Yeah, I think, especially after winning last year,
I think it made it worse, because I was so much more I wasn't more invested because I was invested last year too. Yeah. It was just so much where it was
and dude,
oh my gosh, we can repeat. And I think it hurt that we were up 20. Ugh.
This is why I was telling you or texted you the other day. I was like, dude, I feel like I'm getting almost too into this because I don't remember being
you're letting it affect
upset
you so much.
About a game.
Yep.
It's a game. It's and I'm not losing sleep over it.
There's so much other stuff that's going on. Like my sister, she just had an emergency appendectomy. Got her appendix removed. And it's dude, there's so much more stuff in the world that's going on. And it's dude, we're so upset over a game. And we're probably there's a point where we might even be more upset than the players. It's just
who knows?
And so, I've gotten better. Because I used to let it affect me a lot, even regular season games. And it has affected me tonight. Tomorrow, probably because everybody at work's going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Tuesday, all right. Nobody else to say it anymore and stuff. But all right, so that was game 2. We've both picked the same. Game 3, I think we might pick the same as well. We got Boston and Indy. Game 1 of that series is Tuesday. I'm going to go Boston. I think defensively, they're just too much for Indy to handle. I'm surprised Indiana got there, honestly, but I honestly think, and I think I've said this before, that the Knicks were kind of a fake 2 seed. I'm not saying that they weren't good, and they accomplished a lot. I wish they would have done better. I don't think they are a normal 2 seed.
Well, I think
per se.
I think the Knicks just they the coaching lost this
Tom Thibodeau.
series.
Well, and it's tough because if Brunson doesn't play good, you're not winning.
Yeah, and then especially Brunson gets hurt, Game 7, fractured his hand.
Yeah, but I think they were already down by like 18.
They were,
and so it's not like I don't know if that would have changed
but
it.
Like even then, like this game should have never went to 7 because you ran your players into the ground.
You should have had a 3-0 lead.
You should have.
You should have been up 3. Yep.
But the fact that Josh Hart played 3 straight games should never happen.
I don't know if you ever need to have somebody play the entire game.
Yeah.
Like even tonight with Jokic, when we were up by 20, you should have sat him longer.
I think you should.
And I don't know if that's the reason why we lost. Yeah. I'm not saying.
I mean,
but
I think
it's like, dude, you're up by 20. Sit down 3 minutes, even 3 minutes, and it's like, all right, if they bring it within 10. Okay,
you're
but
right back in.
You can probably sit him for like 3 or 4 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And I know it was after halftime that we were up. But in the second quarter, we were up by double digits.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you only sit him for a little over a minute. It's like, sit him a little bit longer.
Yeah, because you should have known that they can come back.
I also think, I'm like, as a professional athlete, you should be able to play that whole game.
Yeah.
And Jokic had a great game, you know. I mean, he had 20 rebounds or whatever. I think maybe 19. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go Boston. Yeah. I think they're a little too much for Indy. I think that series could also go like 5. So I think both these series could go quick.
I think Indiana matches up better versus Boston than the Knicks did, just because Indiana is an offensive.
Yeah.
Like they can go off.
But they're so defensively though. Like Boston, every single possession is a great defender, pretty much.
But you got to think too that Boston shoots a lot of threes. Indiana shoots a lot of threes.
I just don't think Indiana's going to get as many open shots.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to have to work for their points.
I could see Boston just like, hey, we're just not going to play defense. We're going to get into a shooting match just because we want to.
I don't see it happening. I just don't. I think they're just too defensive.
I think with all that being said, I do agree with you. I'm going Boston game 1 as well.
So we're going three of the same.
Yep, we're both going to go 3-0.
It makes me want to change one
numbers,
but I don't
even
see
looking at the ones that I could change. Maybe
the only one that's the only one I would change.
But that's more just because I just don't know. But the Minnesota and Boston one, I'm like
very
adamant. Yep. It's like that. I'd never change, but
same. All right. Well, that's all we got. You got anything else you want to say?
Nope. Go Nuggets.
Yep. Go Nuggets. 2025 champs. Woo woo. They were just waiting until I was 33. That's what it was. That's what it was. We won it last year. I was 31.
You gotta have
amazing.
A break.
1 year off.
It's hard to repeat. Yep. We can still win 3 of the next 4 and be.
Yep. Hopefully, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. At least he got the MVP. Woo-hoo! 3 out of 4. But that's all we got. I hope you guys enjoyed this pod this week. I know it was probably a little down. We were probably a little somber.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are Minnesota fans, it's probably great.
But... Yeah. But no, hopefully you guys liked it, and hopefully you have a great week. We will be back next week. Promise we'll be excited about something. Yep. Who knows what it'll be, but it's a long week, so we'll see. But we will see you later, alligators. Peace.